Hello and welcome. This is our video presentation for HBO. In this Fieldwork, we interviewed the Human Resources Management Department heads of 3 different organizations. The goals of this project are: first, to determine the respondents' acquaintance with their organization's vision, mission, and values. Second, to evaluate if the respondents can adequately explain their organization's views on HR. Third, to determine if their HR programs are supportive of the company's direction. Fourth, to evaluate the challenges the respondents face when implementing HR programs. Let's begin with our interview at the University of Asia and the Pacific. UA&P is a private, not-for-profit higher learning institution. It traces its beginnings to the Center for Research and Communications, which was established in 1967. Opus Dei, a personal prelature of the Catholic Church, is entrusted with spiritual as well as doctrinal formation of the university. At UA&P we met with Mrs. Maria Theresa Benitez. She is the Managing Director for the Human Resources Department. She has a Master's in Industrial Psychology.
What position do you hold in your company?
Well, I'm the Managing Director for Human Resources.
So what are the various functions and departments that report directly under you?
Well, it's a typical HR function, so everything from recruitment, contracts administration, attendance monitoring, benefits, administration, compensation management, performance management, training and development, employee relations,
Everything is under you.
Yep.
So what is the vision and mission of the university?
To summarize both the mission and the vision of the school, it's really to contribute as a university to the development, the integral human development of the peoples of the Asia Pacific. Okay. Concretely, what does that mean in terms of the work of HR? It's really to precisely support the core functions of teaching, research, and extension of the school, and to hire the right people, develop the right people to help the university achieve that mission and to help it achieve what it wants to achieve in the next 5, 10, 20 years.
What are the core values of your company? Please explain.
In a sense, the university, although it is not a Catholic university, has a very Christian, Catholic orientation. So that is obviously one of the core values. We also want to promote competence, professional competence. So in the same way that we want our students to be competent when they go out to the world of work, obviously we have therefore to have competent teachers, and therefore we also have to be competent. So those are just some of the values. There are in fact a lot. And developing everything that is human in a person. So that's why for students, I'm sure you've heard of your integral development. It's the same it's the same across the whole university, in the same way that we want to develop students in an integral way. We also want to develop all the people that the university comes into contact with in an integral way. So we focus on everything that is human in a person.
What is your current strategic direction?
Well, it's really to support what the university wants to do. I mean, right now we have what we call the 2018 vision for the school. And it's a vision of what the university wants to become or what it wants to achieve by 2018. So basically the role of HR is precisely to do what it can to support that vision. It's to enable the whole organization to meet that goal. Such that, how will goals be achieved? It's through people, right? So the role of HR is precisely to make sure that that we have the right kind of people, the right number, the right profile, so that that strategic vision is achieved.
What are the special projects that your department or group plans to implement or is currently implementing in order to contribute to the fulfillment of your company's vision, mission, values, and your strategic direction?
One of the things that we're putting a lot of effort into is what we call the Integral Development Program. So, I mean, you keep hearing the same words over and over again because it's all consistent. It stems from the same vision. It stems from what precisely we want to achieve as defined by our mission and vision. So the Integral Development Program is basically the university's development program for its employees. So it covers everything from developing technical skills. It enhances knowledge about the university and what it stands for, and even promoting other aspects such as personal growth, career. Well, of course, career growth is part of professional development, but it even goes into other aspects such as spiritual growth because the approach is integral. So I can give you flyers to give you an idea of what we've been doing, at least for the past 2 school years. We've really been focusing on coming up with a development program to address the needs of the university as defined by its strategic vision.
Does the President, Dr. Mariano, support for human resources?
Of course.
In what way does he manifest his support?
Well, not him personally, but the thing is, if you understand how this university is run, it is run through a collegial form of governance. Therefore, it's not just the president. I mean, have you heard of the management committee? Okay, that is what is considered top management in the university. Now, the initiatives of HR, such as the Integral Development Program, is one that was proposed to the MANCOM. It was reviewed by the MANCOM, individual members of the MANCOM, including the president, and they gave their inputs, and they approved it. And when they approved it with their comments, it's up to HR now to implement it. But at the same time, the management, the president and the various members of the management committee support this initiative such that they help ensure that it is successful. It's called cascading. They help in cascading it down such that everyone, I mean, they communicate that, hey, this is important for the university, so support this initiative.
How do your special projects contribute to the fulfillment of your company's vision, mission, values?
Oh, I think I already answered this.
How are the rank and file people responding or reacting to your special projects of yours?
Quite positively. Although there are many things that have yet to be done. Meaning, I would say that the program is still in its infancy. Therefore, in terms of feeling the impact of training and development interventions, we still have to wait a while. I mean, of course, immediately when we have a training seminar, we get feedback, and generally it's positive. They say that it is helpful, but in terms of how it will concretely enable a person to directly contribute to the fulfillment of their unit goals and the school's goals is something that we will see over time. But so far they're responding to it.
How are the middle managers and supervisors responding or reacting to your special projects or programs?
I think it's welcome because it's something that they've seen that needs to be done. Training is always welcome because there are always new things that people have to learn. There are things that circumstances and situations that people have to adapt to, and training often helps that. They're responding to it positively. Of course, for them it may be perceived as added work at times because they have to think about, okay, what do my people really need in terms of training, And even career planning, which is something that is part of the integral development program, takes time because you really have to dialogue with people. So although they're responding to it positively because they know that it's good, but obviously all of these things, managing people, doing career planning, attending to their career development will take time.
What have been the three most negative feedback that you have received so far in relation to your special project or program?
One is that there aren't enough yet, meaning it doesn't cover all development areas yet. Number two is that we are not able to fully align the training to performance evaluation, such that when you make someone undergo training, you would expect that there's an improvement in performance, but the tracking of that improvement in performance is not yet 100% in place. The third is that, and this is coming from the employees themselves, like a lot of things happen on Wednesdays. So, we only have 8 hours a day, but we have, several training programs that we want to squeeze into Wednesdays or squeeze into, limited blocks of time. So people are not able to attend. They have to choose between certain training seminars to attend, and it's a problem of schedule. So we have to find the best way to calendar the activities such that we enable more people to attend. Sometimes it also comes in conflict with class hours. So even if they want to attend a certain training seminar, they have class at that time, so they can't attend.
So what have been the top 3 most positive feedback that you've received so far in relation to your special project?
I think I've mentioned some of them that they think that it's helpful. Like a concrete example is that with the move to the UA&P.Asia, we had a training for the employees on how to make use of Google Docs, Google Apps, Google Sites, Google Plus. So it helps them because it enables them to make use of the technology to get their work done. So it's helpful. It's also responsive, meaning we're not teaching them something that is not important. It's not directly related to what they're doing already. They're organized well.
Yes.
Because we really try to make sure that we do our homework well, and that we know that we do the training needs analysis well, so that and we know that the standards of this university are very high in terms of organizing any event, so we attend to the details of the training.
Our second interview was at Concentrix Corporation. Concentrix is a recognized leader in providing platforms, people, and services to support high-value interactions. At Concentrix we met with Jahyner Bufi. Mr. Bufi is the Senior Director for HR. He has an MBA from San Beda.
So, good morning, Mr. Bufi. I'm Christine Almonte, and this is Annie Basilio from University of Asia in the Pacific.
Hello.
And we're here to conduct an interview about basically your career for our HBO class.
Human Behavior in
Yeah.
Organizations.
Okay.
Okay.
So, how old are you, sir?
No, I think the proper question is how young are you?
How young are you, sir?
The more proper way of asking that is how long you've been in the profession.
Yeah.
Then you can estimate add 19 or 20 years to that. So,
Okay.
I've been in the profession for over 25 years.
So, sir, your marital status, although we already know. So, you're married,
I've been
right?
married, yeah.
How many kids? 3?
4.
4?
Pam is the third one, so
Oh.
still a sister, younger sister.
Okay.
So, your highest educational achievement, sir?
I took up MBA in San Beda.
MBA, it's in
So,
I wanna take up
sir,
MBA
what is the
also.
name of the employer you're
This
working?
is Concentrix Corporation. It's a subsidiary of Cinex Corporation in the US.
So what position do you hold in your company?
I'm currently the senior director for HR and OD for organization development.
So what basically do you do?
Okay, so it's tough answering that question. It's always a question asked of what HR is doing. When normally people would think HR is just about, from hiring to firing, what goes on in between.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think this is very administrative. There's really nothing much you do except, once you look for people, etc. But there's really a unique set of knowledge required to be effective in the profession. When you say hiring, for example, it's not just basically just about looking for any top they can hire outside. It's basically creating an organization that the talents outside, the good ones particularly, will be attracted to join you.
Yeah.
It's not just like posting an ad outside and then we're looking for this position and that, because there are other competitors as well, particularly in our industry. Well, just to give you background on our industry, so we're new, it's about a decade old only, but it's a sunshine industry, we've been growing, there are about 1 million already in this industry. And there are about over 1,000 players already. When before 10 years ago, there were about 10, now 1,000. It's really coming in, a lot of offshoring taking place. So, like in this compound, for example, in Eastwood, there are about close to 50 already. This I would say, call them an agent, if I was taking the phone. An agent can lose a job, in the morning and get it back the same day in the afternoon by just walking to the next door and offering the services. Because the demand is so big. The demand is so big and supply is so few. Supply is so few because it is a very stringent screening for particular language. Not everybody is fit for this work.
Yeah.
Considering as well that our country, Philippines, only graduates only has 100,000 graduating students every year, and not all of them really want to go in call center. So when you put out an ad, there's should be a message as to why you should join us. For one particularly, our companies, call center companies, bigger companies, are designed in such a way that it is engaging. We are the only business company that provides just about everything to employees. When you go inside our facility, it's just like entertainment there. There's sleeping lounges there. You can play billiards there, or ping pong there, and many activities. We're the loudest in parties, etc. Why? Because it's very difficult work. So, and the age profile about 2023, these are safe individuals still hang up in school. Ang kanilang context ng nila, they still don't dress up. They like fun all the time, etc. So, I've been working in HR for so long already, and I've almost been into almost all industries. I've been to consumer, manufacturing, just about everything. I also did consulting work for all these companies. I'm basically in all industries. This is so difficult, particularly in talent sourcing, in talent management. It's hard to get them. When instantly you'll be asked, hire 200, hire 500 people. That's the same demand that was being pushed by our competitors outside. They're also hiring 500. They're also hiring 1,000. Our competitors about 25,000 employees, 10,000 employees, 15,000 employees, and they actually look for more. We're about 5,000. So there. It's a very difficult job. It's not as simple as what people think, because once you get the hurdle out of getting the employees in, it's now a huge question of how you can make them stay. That's the retention part of what we do. There must be something there inside what we do as an HR, as a total organization, in terms of giving the best possible, not best possible, but the ones that addresses their needs in terms of benefits you can give them. Engaging them, mentally, not just mentally, physically, and everything else. And then once that, how do you now develop them? It's not like there's a responsibility for employers to get you at the same time, equip you with the necessary knowledge for you to be able to keep up with the demands of the work. Because you have responsibility as well to make sure that you have a career inside. Because once you don't see any career here, you just keep on hopping in and out everywhere. So there must be some ways that we do where you can see very clearly, if I do this much, this well, I'd make it to, etc., this level, etc. And in our industry, we probably are the fastest in terms of putting you to next level of promotions. Managers here are what? 27, 28 years old, 25, 26 years old.
So young.
They are. And you never can get to become one in any other industry. The pay for one example, the pay here for a manager is in another industry. I would have to wait 10, 15 years to get that kind of pay, when the managers only will get it in 3, 5 years time.
Let's apply.
The managers here are better paid than any other manager in any industry. That I can assure you. I know that because I know also the pay scales of other industries.
Yeah.
So, sir, so going back.
It's a long answer to it.
No, sir, it's okay. It's really substantial.
Yeah.
So what are the various functions and departments that report directly under you?
Okay, so I have a sourcing team, the sourcing and recruitment. They're the ones trying to find talents by giving out certain message why they should join us. Then I have the selection team. Along with that selection team, so assessments that we do as to why we should pick you among many others. And then I have what we call it, supposedly in tradition it's called compensation and benefits group. But we call it here HR management group, basically the managing part of the human resources. So we're the ones taking care of the compensation and benefits. Legal relations as well, because we need to also contend with having to know the law, labor, etc. And then I have the OD, the organization development, which is about systems, organizational systems that should make your organization perform better by creating certain processes, groups of processes, creating a system altogether for development, for training, for teamwork, for everything else.
Yeah. So to know more about your company, sir, can you tell us a little gist of your vision, mission, and the core values of your company? So let's go with vision.
Yeah. The current company, Cinex, has been around for quite a long time now. It is a distribution company. And when the company felt, the owner, the president, felt it's about time to expand globally, the company started acquiring many different companies around the world. One of which they saw was that investing in an offshore business, which is call center. So we became Concentrix. This company used to be operating under a different name until it got bought in 2007. Then the new owners came in and changed entirely everything else that we do around here. Foremost of which they had the 3 Ps. That was the main thing, the main communication around that time when we got bought. We will operate following the 3 management focus, which started from the US only. Cinex being a Fortune 500 company. Very simple. They specified how we should behave. Velocity means you should be fast in anything that you do. Visibility, you need to have the right information given to the right people at the right time. And then value is creating value in all you need to do rather. And in other words, the opposite of which is remove anything non-value adding to what you do. So you're fast, you have the right information, and you just create value all the time. That's the vision of the organization. So we're not the VMV type, values,
Mission.
vision, and mission.
Yes.
No, all of those into one.
Integrated into one.
Yes, that's right. We call it simple. Because the challenge when you have VMV is always communicating it.
Yeah.
So it's long lines to remember. Your commitment to the public, commitment to your product, commitment to your stakeholders, commitment to your community. We just said create value on anything you do, be fast doing it, and then share information.
So you've mentioned that you want to globally expand.
We are already.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your current strategic directions, sir? So what are the specific?
Ours is what we call a concentric strategy of expansion. Concentric meaning we try to acquire companies which is related to what we do. Currently, part of the Philippines, we're in many different places in the US. We're in China, we're in Japan, we're in Mexico, we're in UK, we're in Ireland, we're in Costa Rica, we're in Nicaragua. The only thing probably country we're not in is in Africa, but all the rest of others we have it. Now these are different businesses, but related.
Yeah.
This is not just call center. Our strategy is that whenever we try to acquire a client, get a client to come to get our services, it's the whole bang. I can support you from end to end, whatever you need, from software solutions, applications, to phone, to call center, to technical work, etc. And those are the companies after we're buying, integrating them together.
So, what are the special projects, sir, that your department or group plans to implement or is currently implementing as of the
Well,
moment?
there are a lot. Take a look, for example, in development. I mentioned it's one of our obligations to our employees. When you have so many number of employees, thousands of them, and you have so few people who can actually transmit the knowledge, there's a challenge of getting as much time to be able to address 5,000 employees
Yeah.
when you only have a few people who can. Because you still follow an instructor-led training program. It's always the best. You have an instructor, you go to a classroom mechanic. But how can you, when you only have in my team, for example, the OD, about 10, 15 of them, trying to train about 4,000 employees. So while the intention is good, but there will be people always saying,
Yeah.
I haven't attended yet, and I should, because you can only your capacity is only so few. So how we address that is we one of the projects, which I think is one of the good things we did for employees as well. We had what we call an ICP, Internal Certification Program. We looked for people who had this passion for training, for teaching. Well, they are. They're just there. So we called on them, convinced them to join a program. We're going to train them first as facilitators, get them to go through a program. They only graduate when we certify them. And once they're certified, they become part of our pool of trainers. Now we have about 60, 70 people of them on top of what we have. So close to about 100 different trainers now. 85% of which are the employees themselves. So now we can schedule more training programs, create more modules, etc. So and it's a win-win situation. Win on our end, we don't need to hire more people who's going to train. Win on their end because they were able to basically do what they love doing anyway. Win for us because it saves us. Win for them because we pay them as well. On top of what they're getting a salary for their principal job.
So, is your CEO supporting the HR department?
Yes. The CEO,
In what way, sir?
unfortunately, is an OD guy as well. He recognizes the fact that you cannot run your operations basically just operations thinking mindset. An organization is very dynamic. There's just so many moving parts there. That you need basically an OD, mindset to understand how these things can work well together. And he's good at that. He supports that. And in my capacity, I'm more like an advisor to him, but he understands and listens the importance of what I do.
So, sir, you mentioned the ICP, right? How does the ICP contribute to the overall vision of your company? The training, how
It's always you will always have to take a look of how you perform versus that of our competitors are doing. You cannot stay as how you started, where there's so much competition taking place. If you don't train your people, if you don't make them prepared, for the demands of business, and just basically took them as what they had to bring in when you hired them, good, they'll be serving you for a year or two. But over time, if you don't do anything about enriching their knowledge, they cannot keep up with work while your competition does. Unti-unti, you see, for one, they'll just gravitate, to where they can find this kind of, opportunity for them. And you'll get stuck with those who have no ambition in life, doing the work for you, and you have no thinkers in the organization. So the ICPs, in a way, is solid effort. Making sure people in here while working doesn't stop learning. Because that thing, when I mention ICP, of course they're the junior ones, but we also have other attempts in terms of training even the senior management.
So, sir, do you have any idea how the rank and file people respond to your special programs, the ICP? How do they see it? Is it helpful?
They keep on joining, yeah. In fact, I just attended. We also have a summit for them. We gathered them all together because they don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we gathered them all together and gave them their own developmental activity there.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just feel the appreciation of what was offered to them as an opportunity.
And how about sir middle managers and supervisors? Are they supportive as well for the ICP?
They are, plus of course, traditionally as well, there's an external partnership we do with other institutions training us because we recognize as well that expertise is not necessarily just come from within. There are other people as well. In fact, UA&P can be a sorcerer.
Yeah.
But we also believe that the best teachers are the ones also from inside. Like if you're going to talk, for example, how to teach about management accounting, if you're going to talk about how to teach finance, we have our finance guys here. We don't need somebody else telling us what finance is all about when, our finance managers can tell us how exactly, we do our finance operations, same as management. So you don't need to get somebody teaching us about the, a basic, management accounting principle. And you cannot even connect with examples using our own. And our own managers can actually do it for us. So, for example, when you see our financial statements, kanya-kanya pa ng kumpanya yan, it's not really always patterned the same way. The best person to explain it is not an outsider. The best person to explain somebody who did it from within. So that's
So how about, sir, the top executives? How do they react in your ICP?
Well, the top executives are detached to that ICPs. ICP is basically that of addressing the majority of our employees. But this program is just one of them. ICP is not the only thing in terms of that. But in totality, if you take a look at what development programs are about, we have a university. We have our own corporate university. We're one of the few organizations with a corporate university. It's called Concentrix Institute. It's not a virtual university. It's an actual university with facilities and structures. We have it here in Manila, also in Davao as well.
So,
Everyone's
sir,
cool.
So, sir, what have been the top 3 negative feedbacks that you have received so far in relation to your special projects?
That's one. In relation to my special projects.
The one you mentioned, the one.
But before that was that of some people, because we always run an annual survey of satisfaction survey.
Oh.
And that's one of the things we saw. There's still a lot of people, not a lot, but about 13% of that most, saying that they don't see any training opportunity, career opportunity. That's what I was telling you about. While the intent is there, but you can't possibly just reach them. So that's one. But all these things we're addressing. There are always organizational problems, and I don't think you can find any organization where they're in a perfect state, of everything being. Look, with my difficulty of trying to recall what those are, maybe there's none that registers in me right now. So, except that we ran a survey and those things we saw. The other dissatisfaction areas are not on my end. That's not on HR.
Yeah.
IT software, things they wanted to automate. Manual processes they wanted to speed up. It's not mine. Of course, they'd say one entry there again about comparable benefits and pay. But I always would interpret it as saying, kasi pag nakakita ka naman ng satisfaction areas, I'd like to think, when you see a question being asked of you, whether your pay and benefits comparable, your tendency is to say it's not. Di ba? Para pag sinili, gandahan nyo naman. Because why would you say you're satisfied? Then therefore, no one will be done about it. But kung ano rin lang naman, benefits and pay, kapag we're among other industries, we're tops. Within our industry, we're competitive than a lot. I know because I talk to all levels applying here. I ask them what they get. So.
I'm sending my resume later.
Can you send it through Pam?
But that's on the side another thing. This kind of work, this industry, is not really appreciated by the kind of schools like yours. Bakit kaya?
Kasi may iba tayong...
Nandiyan sila they tend to look down on the job, taking calls.
Not really. May mga business partners po kasi kami.
Yung
like, may mga nakakonect kami.
Affiliations na
companies.
Yeah. Pero both of you personally, would you be interested to start as a call center agent?
Before mag-start, mag-work. Pag mag-iipon.
Yeah,
I would consider.
I think there's a ongoing, you study so and so for so long and then parang nagkakapiro ka kayo ng call central lang parang, mind you, take a look at anybody working there in Makati in their ties and everything else. Take a look at their wallets. I tell you, a call center agent has a lot more money than those guys. And it's a lot better career
Yes.
I tell you, so fast. It amazes me how fast you can become a manager here.
I'm
And how
applying
much-
talaga.
And how
27
much
years
pay,
old.
how much pay you can get, at a very young age, and opportunities for travel. Our managers here basically are shuttling, US, and just about moving around.
Cool. Does internship have allowances?
Wala po ba?
I'm just kidding. Okay.
Ayun, so,
Question.
so going back, yung three positive naman po, feedbacks that you have received so far.
Okay. We always run off an internal satisfaction survey again that we give out to our internal client is the operations team because we are a support group. HR, administration, IT are supports. Okay. So every quarter, because our KPIs, our key performance indicators, are rated because we have incentives. Quarterly and monthly, then on top of your pay, you have monetary incentives, and that's measured by one of the ways to measure that is how good you've served your internal client. Okay, we run that every quarter, and I'm proud to say that human resources, my department always ranks the top 3 every time, every quarter. Sometimes even number 1. So we never get off the 1 to 3 in a ranking in terms of being rated as the best service provider.
So that's it, sir. So thank you for your time. So we, in behalf of our other group mates, would like to thank you for imparting some of your time for our interview.
My pleasure.
It was nice meeting you, sir. Thank you.
So, mukha ko ba si Jahyner?
Our third interview was at the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. The IPP is the official organization of all lawyers in the Philippines. At the IPP we met with Miss Madeline Tomayo. Ms. Tomayo is currently their Personnel and General Services Officer.
So yung first, ano po yung full name nyo? Madeline Tomayo. Age po? 34. Marital status po? What do you mean vital status? Marital. Marital. I'm single. Yung highest education attainment po? Bachelor's degree po. So, ano po yung name ng employer? This is the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. What is the position? What position do you hold in your company? The Personnel and General Services Officer. What are the various functions and departments that report directly under you?
Particularly, handle ko is, we handle the payroll section, so we handle every benefits and company benefits and other government benefits. We also do the reports for taxes and everything, ganon. And also implementation of rules. Pero mostly, my work is focused on yung company benefits and payroll system, and also other activities or other things na related to employees.
What is the vision of your company?
The Integrated Bar of the Philippines is the organization of lawyers primarily focused on yung sa mga dealings ng mga lawyers, sa mga concerns nila and their memberships. And also we focus also on yung social issues as well as we give free legal services.
What is the mission of your company?
The mission siguro is to take care of the organization as well as the members of the organization and to uphold whatever you're supposed to do as a lawyer.
What are the core values of your company?
We're not on a specific terms with that yet. But as long as probably you uphold the rules of law and you stand up to what you believe in.
What is your current strategic direction?
So what do you mean by that?
Ano yung strategies niyo po para sa work niyo po, yung mga ginagawa niyo, yung mga iniisip strategic to achieve your goals? Oo, ganun.
Personally or company?
For the company.
More on really, most probably go on a day-to-day basis. although you have some goals and plans, pero you have to be flexible also kung, kung ano yung pwede mong gawin as the day goes, parang ganun. So, more probably, what I'm thinking is, as long as I can stand up to what I believe in, tapos to implement what I think is right, yun, so far sa ngayon, yung mga goals ko and everything, to stand up firm kahit depende sa mga situations.
What are the special projects that your department or group plans to implement or is currently implementing in order to contribute to the fulfillment of the company's vision, mission, and or strategic direction?
Siguro by the nature of the organization kasi we're not aiming to expand and everything, mga parang local, say, mga ordinary na mga companies na business organizations. Since this is service-oriented and more on organizational type lang, so as long as we fulfill yung mga works namin related to yung mga proposals ng mga organization namin, we support yung mga things na ginagawa or be available sa mga officers or sa mga other requirements. That's all we can do.
Does the president or CEO express support for human resources, and in what ways po?
Yes naman, they're very open. Yung mga organization officers, they're very open sa aming mga employees, as well as we have communication with them. So fair naman yung treatment.
How do your special projects contribute to the fulfillment of your company's vision, mission, values, and or strategic direction?
Special projects. We don't have particular special projects na hindi masyadong involve yung company sa mga ganung aspeto. But ang ano naman is, what we get from the company is that siguro if we're more stable, parang sa ganun, and they also see to it na okay yung mga benefits namin, they see to it na hindi kami masyadong nag-degrade, parang ganun. So far, parang ganun.
How are the rank and file people responding or reacting to your special project program? Yung ginagawa nyo lang pong day-to-day.
Kung special projects na related to sa organization or for improvement ng company, as I said earlier, kasi wala kasi yung mga ganun masyado. What we consider as special projects is yung mga work lang na kinai-involve ng organizations. Doon lang kami nag-ano. What do you mean by particularly ng special project?
Kasi po, yung ibang companies meron silang parang to improve your company, kunyari expansion, or yung ibang companies naman, siguro, mag-i-implement sila ng bagong stock or mag-build ako.
Yung sa amin kasi, parang the Integrated Bar of the Philippines does not intend to expand nga kasi ng ibang organization. Kasi yung membership niya is fixed. So, and also, this is not an organization na earning ba. This is not corporate style, talaga na corporate style, or an organizational style. What happens here in the Integrated Bar of the Philippines is that when we have issues outside, mga social issues, they allow us to be more immersed on it. Parang we work on it, parang ganun. So, kapag work ng organization, for example, yung impeachment, yung mga social issues, mga ganun is involved talaga kami personally, parang ganun. You do things like that, you organize some groups also, parang we also participate sa mga rallies or whatever, sa mga ganung action. So, parang yun na yung way ng mga employees para makiisa at sa kung ano mga plano or mga projects ng organization.
Kasi yun po yung nature ng organization. How are the middle managers and supervisors responding or reacting to what you do?
So far naman, very supportive lang. Sometimes, you have to stand up. Although, many times yung mga issues is you don't believe in them. Hindi naman kasi kami sinuforce For example, you don't believe that you should stop impeachment. Ganun, ganun. You're not supposed to we are not forced din naman to absorb issues kapag hindi rin namin. So, it's more open talaga.
So, paano po kunyari may rally? Paano po yung mga supervisors? Ano po yung ginagawa nila?
They allow yung mga, kunwari may rallies o sino gustong pumunta, sige, pupunta. Kapag you don't think naman you believe dun sa purpose or sa group, you're allowed to stay also. You did the work.
How are the other top executives responding or reacting to your programs?
Programs. They're
Like,
the creator.
Opo.
Sila kasi yung nag-i-initiate ng mga ganun. So,
Sila nag-i-initiate.
I mean, yung order for us, or sort of, or the clamor for us, whether or not to join, comes from them. So, pag sinabi nila na, oy, may ganitong rally, so, do you want to join or not? So parang, it's them who initiates yung mga actions.
So, yung CEO po magsasabi sila ng kunyari, oy, may rally, ganyan, sali kayo. So, yung mga under him, ng supervisor, managers, middle managers, parang mag-respond po kayo sa CEO. What have been the top 3 most negative feedbacks that you have received so far in relation to your programs?
Is yung internal or external factors which I should consider?
Pwede po both.
Siguro kasi dito, internal. We have diverse opinions. You know? So, parang, di ba, isipin mo, ayaw kong pumunta dyan kasi parang ganun-ganun. So yun siguro. Pero, on major issues, parang wala naman. Yun lang siguro, ang diversity of opinions. Same outside. Parang sasabi nila, ang IDP nakikialam na
in media po.
The people outside the community or some lawyers na members. Parang ganun yung mga reactions. Pero so far, it's not us kasi na employees yung mga naggagawa ng mga ganun. So we're just followers. And employee-wise, wala masyadong focus sa mga ganun activities. Except for yung company outing, mga team buildings, yun lang.
What are the top 3 most positive feedbacks that you have received so far in relation to your special project?
Siguro it's more on standing up on my principles and what you believe in.
So, pag united kayo lahat, believing in one person.
Pero it seldom happens talaga. Kasi in every organization talaga, di ba? Iba-ibang tao yun. So, maybe yung mga issues na ganun is half-half.
Ano pa po yung lang po?
Wala naman masyado. Positive feedback.
Pati po ba media? Or positive? Or lagi silang negative?
May mga... No, media is supposed to be naman, di ba?
Diba? Parang neutral
lang sila. So...
That's how the people react to the media.
It's all about internal ba? Parang opinions of others. So, you're entitled to your own opinion. Parang wala namang effect masyado ng ganun feedback.
Yun daw po.
This concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.